So, hello, everyone, and welcome back to Divine Rebel. My name is Racey, and this is the monthly majors for May 2021. We'll go over the major planets and luminaries, plus North Node, South Node, Juno, and Chiron. So, if you know your birth chart, by the way, then you'll know how some of these things are aspecting for you. If you don't know what your birth chart is, you can always shoot me an email and let me know your birthday, birth time, birth location. I'll plug it into my Astro Gold app and send you a screenshot so that you could start getting to better understand your chart and how it's lining up with everything that's going on. Now, there's a couple things that are relatively consistent throughout the month of May, and it has to do with Uranus, Chiron, and Pluto, who are influencing the nodes. Uranus and Chiron are in semi-sextile, and they have been for a while. They're both very slow moving, and they've been with each other for a while in the semi-sextile energy, and they're aspecting on the nodes. The alignments coming from them are positively aligned. They're semi-sextiles, sextiles, trines, and quincunxes. Pluto is challenging them. It's semi-squaring South Node and sesquaring North Node. All right, and these things are relatively consistent. There's only a couple days throughout the month where Pluto is not in tight alignment with its challenge to the nodes, and the aspects with Uranus and Chiron start to dissipate towards the last week of the month. But these energies, right, with Chiron in Aries, aspecting the nodes like it is, there's a definite awareness of how our thinking, how our choices in the mind, and what we believe in our ego either keep us in things that we're comfortable with, or at least familiar with, right? Because it doesn't necessarily have to be comfortable so much as it's our comfort zone, and that it's familiar, and it's how what we normally do and how we normally react and how we normally think tend to affect whether or not we deal with the same karmic cycles over and over again, because Chiron is a wounded aspect. It's a martyr. It could be a martyr complex. It's helping us understand how we need to have healthy limits with how we think, and how what we think changes what we do. Right, it changes our choices. Our perspective changes our choices. And it's understanding how certain perspectives need to shift over the course of the month. Uranus is radical. It's eccentric. It's unpredictable. It's very much shaking things when it comes to the comfort levels, right? What we're comfortable in, even if it's an uncomfortable cycle or uncomfortable pattern, with its quincunx to South Node. South Node being in Sag has a lot to do with our higher perspective, our long-term vision, our goals, things like that. And the semi-sextile to North Node that it's having is kind of a nudge in the right direction. Like, listen, you might not know why things are shifting in your reality, right? Because Uranus is in Taurus. You might just feel that there needs to be radical shifts, and this is an alignment, right? This is an alignment. So there's big changes coming with these aspects as they kind of play their role. The challenge that we're having with Pluto's retrograding in Capricorn, which is bringing up a lot of our deep soul scars to be undone. And with Chiron and Uranus positively aspecting these things, it's our deep soul scar in Pluto that is having a hard time or resisting changing the way we used to do things, the way we used to dictate our course, right? Our path based on soul scars, right? There's a lot of things from the past being dredged up. We can't do things the way we used to do, or it's actually going to challenge us, hurt us, be difficult. We'll be met with resistance. It'll feel like you're swimming upstream, right, and getting nowhere. So these energies in general are really forcing a new, right? New thinking, new perspective, new choices, new ways of doing things, of managing things, new ways of creating a reality that is more in alignment with what you want versus what you're actually trying being a bullshit word, right? When you're trying, you're swimming upstream. It's literally helping you flow more. Your choices that you used to make might be taken away or not an option, right? You can't keep doing things the way you've been doing them for a very long time, or the way you were taught to do them, right, over the course of time, what you witnessed as a youth, witnessing how your parents did things and realizing that maybe what worked for them doesn't work for you, or what quote unquote worked for them wasn't actually really working for them, that they were self-sacrificing more than they were actually enjoying the life they were creating and what they were doing to create it. So there's a lot of things going on in becoming very much an individual, right? Very much becoming an individual. So as we get into May 1st, the month starts with the sun conjunct Uranus, right? It's conjuncting Uranus, so it's semi-sextiling between Chiron and the North Node. Neptune is squaring Juno retrograde in Sagittarius, and Pluto ends up picking up a trine to Mercury, who picks up a semi-square to Chiron. And Neptune also picks up a sextile to Venus in Taurus. So with the sun conjunct Uranus and Taurus, there's almost like an awareness of how we define ourselves through our reality and the things that we own, right? That there's this certain awareness of thinking that who you are is what you have. And that is what's being, I'll say, healed. That's what's being healed, because we feel like when we lose these things, we lose ourselves, or when we give something that we own, that we've attached ourselves to, away, that we've lost it or created a hole, right? And we don't know if we're ever going to get that back. There's a lot of sentiment that isn't necessarily meant to move forward with us. Some people might be feeling really generous and look at what they have as a means to show how caring or considerate or charitable that they are. Others might be feeling really greedy or stingy. Like, these are all of the different things that are being adjusted, because if you're giving from a place of ego, that it's a stroke to your own ego to give, that you have more and can give to someone less than, and it's coming from a place of I have more and you have less, it's not necessarily the same thing as giving because you're just guided to give, because it doesn't matter that you have more or less. You could have very little and still give what you have, right? And not necessarily feel like you're without just because you already had a little and maybe now you have nothing, right? It's a matter of doing as you're guided and giving as you're guided, and not for any other reason. If you're guided to give, you give. If you're guided to hold on to something, you hold on to something. You know, there's a higher value that we may be failing to see, but is there nonetheless. Like the Neptune in Pisces, sextile Venus in Taurus, there's this fantasy of having so much that we could give endlessly, because we have so much, and we wish we could do that, right? We wish we could have so much that we can give and give to those we love and create a beautiful reality. And it's because we have so much. And yet you can give and give and give even when you don't have a lot to give. You don't need a lot of things to give a lot of love, right? Things and love, and being able to equate those two don't necessarily add up. The Neptunian aspect would have you believe that until you have a lot, you can't give enough. And that's what's false, right? It's the beauty of the spiritual aspect of Neptune and Venus that allow us to give energetically of our souls, you know, that we're guided to love and see the beauty in things that are not equated to money or position or possession, right? There's also this odd energy, this challenge with the semi-square from Mars in Cancer to Venus in Taurus. And so there's this resistance to seeing the passion of nurturing, the power of nurturing that truly is what's beautiful in the world, right? It's not about things. It's about compassion. It's about consideration. It's about caring. It's about empathy. It's about knowing what it was like to be in another person's shoes at one time. And because you understand what their need is, because you understand what your need was when you were in their shoes, you know how to love it properly. It doesn't necessarily, like if you know someone is financially struggling, maybe they don't need you to hand them $100. $100 wouldn't have actually, in reality, helped you then. It would have been like a Band-Aid. What you needed was a solution, right? What you needed was a solution to come out of financial hardship. And so it's taking the time to care and nurture someone's ability to find solutions, right? And that's what we're having a hard time with, because we want to be able to give a Band-Aid when a Band-Aid is not actually what the cosmos are calling for. It's not about giving a Band-Aid. It's about finding a solution, right, to what's causing the cuts or causing the bleed out when it comes to our realities, okay? Neptune in square with Juno. There's a challenge, right? Squares are challenging. Juno is about, in Sag anyway, the loyalty that we have to the vision, the long-term goal, right? It's not about the immediate, right in front of you reality. It's about the loyalty you have to the long-term well-being of things. And there may be a fog, right, that we're having a hard time keeping that long-term vision in view. Like if there's this Neptunian fog between point A and point B that you can't really see point B, it doesn't mean point B doesn't exist. It means you can't see it through the fog. And you have to remember that despite the fog, point B is still there, right? The goal is still there. This is not about instant gratification that we're starting out May with. As we move into May 2nd, the Taurian sun squares Saturn and Aquarius as it moves off of Uranus, Mercury in Taurus is squaring Jupiter in Aquarius. Neptune's holding its sextile to Venus as Venus picks up a quincunx to Juno retrograde in Sag, who is squaring back at Neptune, and Mars holds no aspects. It drops its semi-square to Venus. So the Sun, right, moving into this square with Saturn in Aquarius, we may, as we are egoically attaching ourselves to the reality, have a hard time seeing the actual divine order of healing, right? When we're attaching to our things, when we're attaching our value to monetary measure, we're having a difficult time actually seeing the purpose of this healing. Okay. Mercury in Taurus is it can be very stubborn in the way it communicates, because it has a very firm vision of what beauty is, a very fixed vision of what things are, quote unquote, supposed to be, that is actually challenging and rejecting the blessings of the higher flow, the higher perspective that comes with Jupiter in Aquarius, right? Jupiter in Aquarius is beautiful, luck, and beneficial, positive energy when you're seeing things from the higher perspective. If you can't help someone right now, you're not meant to. That's okay. You're not supposed to feel bad or feel guilty because you literally can't give them what they're asking for, right? What you can give them, whether it's reminding them of the beauty of life, reminding them what they have to be grateful for, reminding them that it's okay to be stubborn in their will to succeed, right? That they have the strength and the stamina to get through whatever their hardship is. There's certain blessings that come along with being able to communicate a sense of it's all going to be okay, even if it doesn't feel that way right now, and being able to communicate that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be received, right? Because people are stubbornly fixed in their idea of what gratitude for their life is supposed to look like. They can't be grateful for their life if they're struggling. It doesn't mean that the positive doesn't need to be communicated just because it's not necessarily being received, right? There's a real resistance in seeing the beauty of higher order and healing and purpose. Like, things that are meant to be will be, and things that are not meant to be won't. And you can't get upset because things aren't the way you think they should be, right? It's gratitude for the way things are because it's helping you align with what actually should be. The Venus and Taurus picking up a quincunx to Juno retrograde in Sag, who's squaring Neptune, right? That Neptune is sextiling Venus. Venus is kind of taking on this energy of, I understand what your soul needs are. I understand that the vision that you truly want to create seems really far away, but we're not going to give in to the idea that it can never be achieved just because it's hard right now. Venus is kind of giving a hug to the vision, like, listen, I know that you can't see it. Doesn't mean I'm not helping it manifest, right? It's a reminder to your heart that all is not lost, which is kind of what's needed. And that's what people take away from the positive words, right? Even if their words are resistant, the feeling that they receive from you, that it's all going to be okay, that where there's a problem, there must be a solution, right? We just have to have open minds and hearts in order to understand what that is, to receive it, right? To have it cross our path or cross our mind, like, you know what, maybe this is possible. Maybe that way's not possible, but I'm solution oriented, so maybe this way is possible, right? Just because people reject your words don't mean they reject the intention. It's like planting a seed and allowing yourself to walk away, right? After you put the seed in the dirt, you walk away and nature kind of takes its course and it grows on its own. It's understanding that's the Jupiter Saturn energy that's going on in Aquarius. And even if people are resistant to things being said, it doesn't mean that they're not thinking about it after, right? It doesn't mean that it doesn't help them open after. So that's May 2nd, right? May 1st and 2nd are real challenges to how we perceive things in the reality when we're in a vibration of lack, right? When we're in a vibration of lack, either we don't have enough or we only have what we need and can't give any to other people, right? Because lack isn't just about not having enough. It's having and feeling like you can't give. I'll lose if I give, right? It's still a lack vibration. And that's what we're dealing with, right? That's what we're moving through. Now, on May 3rd, Mercury transits home to Gemini. So, Mercury transiting home to Gemini is all about the face value facts of the reality. It's about what is going on in the immediate, right in front of your face, face value kind of energy. It's taking things for exactly what they are, communicating exactly what things are, and not buying into this the hope or dream that is so far away, right? It's focusing on the reality, the first step in front of you. It's the opposite of Sagittarian energy that sees the long-term goal and is shooting for a long-term goal and doesn't necessarily know how to get there. It's okay. Out there doesn't matter. All I know is I need to do what I need to do right now, what I need to say right now, what needs to be communicated through my actions right now kind of energy, and it's very powerful. So May 3rd, the sun, right, holds its square to Saturn. Venus drops its sextile to Neptune and quincunx to Juno, who are still holding their square. And Venus, Mars, Jupiter, they're all holding no aspects, no tight aspects. Uranus, Chiron, and Pluto are still influencing the nodes. So with Mercury home in Gemini, and the sun holding its square, Neptune and Juno holding their square, it's, okay, I can't think about the long-term goal right now if it's not achievable right now. I need to focus on what I can do. Okay, I need to focus on what is possible. What can I do today? And this is coming out of that energy, right, of needing reassurance from the first 2 days of the month. Now there's this energy of spark in the mind that is truly solution oriented. As we get into May 4th, the sun drops its square to Saturn. Now, both of them are not holding any tight aspects. Mercury's holding no tight aspects. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, they're all no tight aspects. The only aspects going on is the Neptune square to Juno retrograde that's still going on. Venus picks up a semi-square to Chiron, and Uranus, Chiron, and Pluto are still holding their influence on the nodes. So the fog is still very much in place when it comes to our greater vision. So it's hard to hold faith that the vision is still achievable. But Venus and Taurus is not allowing our detrimental aspects in the mind, our victim of reality kind of mentality to persist, even though it's being felt, right? It could feel really discouraging. And the beauty of the reality that you have is kind of what's keeping everything afloat, like remembering what you do have as opposed to what you don't, remembering what is possible as opposed to what's not possible in this moment. Okay. Again, nodal influences with Uranus, Chiron, and Pluto, there's major shifts to how we do things, right? And how we define ourselves. So there's major shifts going on in what we see as beautiful and what we're grateful for. We're not allowed, right, cosmically speaking, to keep this victim mentality in the mind if we want to manifest the beauty of the long-term vision, even if we can't see it right now, even if we can't see how it's possible right now. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not possible, right? Now on May 5th, those energies hold. Okay, the Sun, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, all continue holding no tight aspects. The Neptune in Pisces square to Juno retrograde in Sag holds. And Venus holds its semi-square to Chiron, but it picks up a trine to Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. So there's this deep hug from Venus that reminds you the reality is okay. The deep soul scar, right? That Venus was addressing the mind yesterday and bringing patience and strength to the mind, that there are things to be grateful for. It starts to shift on a subconscious level where we feel like nothing ever works out in our favor. No matter how much we try, it never seems to work. And it's allowing this kind of release, right? This kind of release of control, that you can do things a different way. You can allow yourself to receive from the reality that you're in without trying to make things happen. Okay? Because Venus is a feminine energy, it's very receptive. Taurus, being an earth sign, is a feminine energy, it's very receptive. It's reminding you that you can, in fact, create solutions by being in a state of gratitude and willingness to receive solutions outside of the box. Okay? Even though the box seems very finite, right? The box itself seems very finite, like nothing is getting in or out of the box. And yet, just a willingness to accept that there are things that can be done inside the box, that you don't need things from out there to come in to get you out of it. And you can't, this idea that you can't change what's going on in the box because you don't have certain things to do that. There's this energy of, those nodal influences with Uranus in there that says, okay, but I'm not going to be a victim stuck in the box with no options. There's got to be a way, right? There's got to be a way to change the conditions inside the box from within the box, even if I'm the only thing that's in the box. There's no changes on May 6th, and there's no changes on May 7th, other than Venus drops its semi-square to Chiron and picks up a square to Jupiter and drops its trine to Pluto. So feeling like you're in this box and need a solution, right, that needs to come from within the self. We're having a hard time seeing the blessings in it because it's difficult, right? It seems really difficult. Like, what can I do? What can I do? Maybe, standing on your 2 feet and pushing on the top of the box with your arms isn't enough. But maybe if you did a handstand against the wall of the box and used your legs, which are more powerful than your arms, you could bust the top of the box open, right? And that whole idea of having to place yourself upside down to use the pieces of you that are more powerful, being upside down, there's this idea of heart over head decisions. Right? Feeling like you have enough within you. You don't need more, right? You don't need more in the reality to do more. You just have to utilize what you have properly, designating what you do have, energetically speaking, in the reality, 3D monetary means, right? There's a certain amount of what you can do, where things can go to bring ease and peace of mind within the restrictions of the reality. Okay. May 8th, there's no changes other than Venus transits into Gemini. Okay, so Venus leaves its home of Taurus and moves into Gemini. There's an element with this sign and Venus that helps you find gratitude, right? The course of time that Venus will be in Gemini, it helps you find gratitude for your ability to think logically. What do I have right now that can help me move forward? And what you have is your mental faculties and your ability to see what's right in front of you as it is and use it to your benefit. Okay. This whole shift from May 5th through the 8th is about finding the power within yourself. What is possible? Not focusing on what's impossible, but what is possible. Okay? It's falling in love with your ability to be solution-oriented and seeing things for the way they are. You can't draw blood from a stone, right? People that are unwilling to help you or unable to help you are not helping you for a reason. You don't need their help like you think you do, right? You don't need it like you think you do. You're allowing yourself to mentally become creative by bringing your heart back into it. Bringing your heart back into your reality in order to create the changes needed, right? Bringing the heart aspect into the mind and being grateful for your ability to perceive things clearly, right? Perceive things clearly. As we move into May 9th, Mercury conjuncts the North Node, opposing the South Node, and a yod starts to form with Mars in Cancer and Uranus in Taurus as they're moving into a sextile, and both of them are quincunxing the South Node in Sag, semi-sextiling the North Node in Gemini. Now, yods, right, because this is the formation of a yod that becomes most significant tomorrow on the 10th. But because this energy is forming, we're starting to see, because North Node is kind of like, almost like the pulling back of the arrow, right? Because everything's aimed at South Node in Sag. The yod is aimed at South Node in Sag. And this North Node energy is kind of the slingshot effect that's aiming at it. North Node in Gemini is about everything being the way it is right now in front of you for a reason. And that reason is divine, right? It's a destiny's direction or destiny point that North Node is. It's what you're aiming to, what you're aiming for, right? What you're aiming for and understanding. And it's aiming for the destined aspect of knowing why things are the way they are. It's seeing just how much our comfort zone in possibly seeing the potential of what people could do and becoming passionate about the self, becoming passionate about nurturing the reality of the self, and making radical shifts, right? Making radical shifts. So if you've hit every wall and every block that you could possibly hit coming into the month of May, you're officially seeing just how much you cannot keep banking on others. That you have to tune into yourself, that you have to get passionate about how you feel, and that you want to feel better, which means you have to start doing things differently, that you need this kind of stubborn will to radically shift things, right? A stubborn will to radically shift things and to bring in self-nurturance and self-care and self-priority and self-approval as your tools in order to get yourself out of a la-la land comfort zone of wishing other people would help you. A comfort zone that sees the long-term goal, but doesn't actually apply what their solutions are in the reality that would in fact help them get there. Right? A lot of people can see the dream, they can see the goal and see what they want. This is the life I want. This is the reality that I want. This is the people that I want in my life. This is the feelings that I want to have. This is the home that I wish I could live in. But they don't know how to actually take in the moment actions, make in the moment choices that are in alignment with those feelings. It's in alignment with that joy and the creation of that reality. They have this dream that they doubt is possible because they're not necessarily aligning with that vibration of I can create it from within myself. I can be passionate about myself. I can love who I am. I can love the fact that I could change my reality. I can love the fact that I can do things from a passionate heart place and not lose anything. That I don't need to give things, but that I can give love, right? That I don't have to feel obligated to lose anything. There's this whole energy shift with this yod that officially holds and is at its peak on the 10th, right before the new moon in Taurus on the 11th. With May 10th, the yod being at its strength, Chiron also squares Mars. Okay. Chiron also squares Mars. So as powerful as this yod is, you have to remember flow. You have to remember flow. This is not about being super inspired and bursting, like a volcano. It's not about exploding all of this energy in another attempt to try something different. It's truly about understanding the vibration of different and allowing different to be received well. It's not about doing whatever you can to shift or being angry and voicing your anger at others. Like, you know what? I don't fucking need you then. Like, it's not about going there. It's not about being driven from a place of damning anything in the reality and feeling like you have to do now because there's a rush. There's no rush. There's no rush. Cosmos don't rush. Everything moves according to its rhythm. It's getting in the alignment of knowing that you have the power within yourself to nurture and shift your reality and accept flow. Accepting flow. You are not meant to mentally put yourself through the ringer just because you feel the vibration of change being needed, right? Just because you feel emotionally passionate about things. Yes, you have very strong emotions, especially with Mars in Cancer. And the reality does need to shift big time with Uranus and Taurus. There's an understanding there between those two elements. But you can't get angry at the potential that's not being what it could be. You can't go back into believing that you're going to get help from out there. That just because these sources didn't help you doesn't mean that another source isn't going to help you if you just keep asking, kind of thing. Because you're only going to get upset. If you keep trying to make it happen and you want instant gratification on a long-term accomplishment, you're going to be disappointed. It's bringing that passion and bringing that will to shift and really honing in on what you can do now with what you have. What's possible? How can you invest in yourself right now? What makes logical sense? What makes sense? Certain things aren't possible. They don't make sense to what is going on and what is available. This is about making sense of what's available and utilizing it, right? Utilizing it in the now moment, what you have. What you need will be offered if you're meant to have it. If you have to ask, you're in a vibration of not having what you need and feeling like you need to get somewhere in the future today. When it's not meant for today, it's in the future, right? All you need is the alignment today to get you to that future place. What you have is plenty. The people at your disposal that you talk to, especially if you're in a vibration of I'm feeling really passionate, I'm looking to change things big time in my life, someone might offer a bit of support, whether it's knowledge or an actual thing, right? Or actual monetary means of something. People might offer. If you're communicating with the intention that someone would offer, you're gonna fail. Right? This is about being genuinely in the moment. Genuinely in the moment. And allowing the moment to show you just how comfortable and easy it can be in achieving this long-term vision, right? This long-term goal. May 11th, the new moon in Taurus. It happens at exactly 5:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in Taurus picks up a quincunx to Juno retrograde in Sag as Juno is dropping its square to Neptune. Okay. Juno picks up a quincunx from the sun and is dropping its square to Neptune. This is a big deal. This is a big deal because this is the unleashing of our greatest vision by being in the light of Taurian energy. The sun being in Taurus is about beauty, is about gratitude for the world around you and all that you have and all that you can create. It's being grateful for the steady. It's being grateful for what is stable. And letting go of the erratic, back and forth, indecisive, I don't know what to do energy of Pisces. there's this feeling on the 11th that you, somewhere in your soul, know what to do. You don't know how it makes sense. You just know what to do. Pluto retrograde in Capricorn also drops its challenges to the nodes. And this is for like one of just a few days this month where Pluto is not in tight alignment, challenging the nodes. It drops the nodes and it picks up a sesquare to Mercury in Gemini. As Mercury in Gemini moves off of North Node and picks up a trine to Saturn. The deep soul scar, that is Pluto. Retrograding in Capricorn. The mind and the words we're choosing, right? Words are powerful. The words we're choosing. I am motivated. I am driven. I can do this, right? All of these positively aligned communications that we're having out loud and in our thoughts is telling the old way to fuck off. The trine to Saturn that Mercury is having during this time is allowing you to communicate from the higher order and the higher perspective of things, whether you realize it or not. When you're in a positive alignment, like I can, I will, I am, and all these vibrations of gratitude and solution-oriented behavior is what's taking place, you're in this high alignment. You're in a really high alignment. The Yod with Uranus and Mars is still holding on the 11th, right, with this new moon. It's still holding. And Chiron's influence of the nodes is still going on with all of this stuff. Its influence, its square on Mars, it's all there. We're not taking our victim mentality with us. We're like, fuck that. It doesn't feel good to feel like a victim. It doesn't feel good to feel helpless. So I'm not going to be a victim and I'm not going to be helpless. I'm going to be grateful for all that I have. I'm going to be grateful for all the stable things, situations, people in my life, and I can figure this out. I don't know how I'm going to figure it out. I know that I will. I can and I will. As added detail, at the exact moment of the new moon's peak, right? Getting into some of the, quote unquote, devil in the details outside of just the majors. The sun and moon in Taurus are also being quincunxed by Zeus retrograde in Libra, in addition to their quincunx to Juno retrograde in Sag, who is within 1 degree of white moon. They're forming a yod aimed at the sun and moon, making the sun and moon the apex of, right, their yod. With the sun and moon being the focus in Taurus, that no matter how unstable or uncertain things may feel in the long term, the blessing of the short term is recognizing how the way that you used to do things from an imbalanced or misaligned place and feeling like you've given up on the vision is actually detrimental to your energy. That's what's creating the instability. When you don't believe in the long-term vision being achievable and you act from a misaligned place, that's actually what takes you off course with stability. When you trust your alignment and you trust that even though you can't see it, that the way there is possible, that's what creates the stable energy. That's what creates this vibration of gratitude. That's what creates this vibration of stamina and strength and fortitude of self, right? The sun and moon are also being sesquared by Astrea retrograding in Capricorn and are nearly 1 degree away from Lilith in Taurus, who is sextiling Neptune. The sun and moon, right, are just about sextiling Neptune. They're within a degree, right, of this aspect. So it's not tight, a degree or less, but it's very, very close. The Seth square to Estrella retrograde in Capricorn is this challenge to not healing the way we've done things. There's a major, Seth squares, sesquiquadrates are a square and a half. It's literally telling our old way of doing things that perpetuate wounding, that they cannot persist. The sun and moon in Taurus is letting that retrograde energy of Estrella. It's, you shall not go, you shall not pass, you shall not collect $200, right? The old way would send you straight to jail and go directly to jail kind of energy. You don't get to pass go or collect $200. You're going right to jail. This is challenging that energy and saying, no, I have a get out of jail free card. So you might send me to this place, but I'm not stuck in it. Lilith and Taurus being within a degree, nearly a degree away, and in sextile with Neptune, there's this lingering shadow of doubt, right? This lingering shadow of doubt that's trying to creep in and tell you to abandon ship, abandon the dream, abandon your soul, right? Abandon your soul and just completely not give a fuck, right? There's this weird energy of being so driven and so glad that you're whole within yourself and that life supports you. And yet it wouldn't take much to tip somebody into the scale of, I don't give a fuck about anything. I don't give a fuck about the vision. I don't give a fuck about the reality. I don't give a fuck what happens in the future. I don't give a fuck what happens today. I don't care. That's a scary place to be. You don't want to be in that place come the energy of this new moon, because new moons are manifesting energies. They're fresh, clean slates. They're manifesting moons. The vibration you're in on the day of the moon is going to play a big role in what happens over the course of the next 2 to 4 weeks, right? To the next new moon. If you're in a vibration of, I don't give a fucking nothing matters, I can't do anything, I won't do anything, there's nothing that can be done, and you're in this complete helpless fucking state, please call in your angels if you find yourself there on May 11th to protect you from yourself, to heal your heart that's hurting and that has completely given up, to give you the words that you need to tell yourself, because I don't give a fuck is not them. That your angels will help shine light in your shadows where you cannot see, and you're abandoning yourself. Because throwing your hands up and being frustrated is not going to create solutions. It's not going to change anything, and it's going to get very stuck. It's going to get very, very stuck. And if that energy snowballs, it's like worse on top of bad. So choose your alignment, right? There's a yod here. There's quincunxes present. Quincunxes are wild cards. That energy and how it manifests is up to you. It's up to you. Your alignment and what you manifest is up to you on the day of the new moon. There's also another yod going on at this exact moment, with a sextile between Apollon retrograde in Scorpio and Cupid retrograde in Capricorn, as they quincunx Venus in Gemini, who's coming off a conjunction with Admetos. If your soul song can't be heard, and divine counterparts or sacred soulmates don't understand you, or why you do what you do. It doesn't mean that you don't know that what you do is coming from a loving place. And maybe, just maybe, you can understand your parents better. Ancestral karma with Admetos and Gemini. Maybe because you know as an adult that you don't necessarily understand who you are, what your purpose is, or how to get to your vision. And soulmates or divine counterparts don't necessarily understand why you do things the way you do. Maybe you can sympathize with your parents, who at the time, where they were possibly leaving soul scars or telling you their idea of what you should be instead of, what you felt and thought you should be. Maybe you can sympathize with them because maybe they didn't know who they were or their purpose. Especially maybe because they placed too much of themselves and what they do based on their partner. Whoever their partner was at the time. Whether they were married or a single parent and dating or whatever. Maybe you can sympathize. Because the facts of the reality was they didn't have their shit together the way they wanted. And now you're in the same position. Not having all your shit together the way you want. You're misunderstood. People don't understand, that you have a drive for this and a passion for that and can't do it because it doesn't earn enough this or it doesn't create enough that. How hard it must be to mentally and emotionally stay above water. Maybe you can forgive them for not being perfect. Maybe you can forgive yourself for not being perfect because that's what you learned. That not being in alignment with your soul song on a deep level, right? Let's say let's say one of your parents was working in a 9-to-5 job and all they really wanted to do their whole life was play music and they felt like they couldn't. Because it wasn't a stable enough job, or they had to support their kids and they couldn't be that. They had to be responsible. And maybe you learn the same thing. That you can have this passion for something and not do it, and it's going to have to be acceptable because XYZ are the reasons. Maybe that's what you learned. The point is, whatever it is in your soul, deep in your soul, that you feel this creative need to partake in, that you're passionate about, soul deep, that you wouldn't sacrifice it. That you wouldn't sacrifice it, not because it doesn't create stability, not because you would be judged by counterparts or whatever, that your partner would have something to say, that they wouldn't support you. Why can't you make time? Why can't you make time? Venus in Gemini says heart over head decisions they don't necessarily have to be irrational or illogical. It makes sense that you would do something that your soul sings to. Even if others would judge you, shun it, whatever. Not support it. You don't need their support, right? This is what we're learning. You don't need their approval. You don't need their support. You can create it from within yourself. You can take an hour out of your week. You could take 5 minutes out of your day. You can wake up a half an hour early. And dedicate it to something that your soul loves. Because there's nothing more attractive in the reality than authenticity. Your partners might not be able to help you. They might not be able to understand why you have such a passion. But they're going to admire the fact that you're going after it anyway and doing it anyway. that you're taking the time to research something that you're interested in. Just because you can't take a class on astrology doesn't mean that you can't start reading up on it. And taking a half an hour a day to read something new. That you can't have a notebook and write something down that was interesting or important that you learned. Seriously. This new moon, if you can use this alignment to your benefit, really boosts and fortifies the authenticity of the self. The power, the actual power of the self, when it relies on its own strength and fortitude. That energy holds up your entire world, your mental world, your emotional world, your financial world, your physical body, that you actually feel better because you're doing something that you love every day, even if it's just 5 minutes, even if it's just a half an hour, that you can look forward to that one day a week, that you dedicate a little chunk of time to doing what you love, what your soul is driven to do and bring into the world. The new moon on May 11th, it's a major blessing. It's a major blessing. And it should be looked at that way. It should be looked at that way. Steer absolutely clear of I don't give a fuck and throwing your hands up. And feeling like you don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So I'm not going to do anything. I don't fucking know. Just steer clear of that. You don't have to know exactly what to do. You just have to know you. You just have to know you, and you will guide you on what to do. That's the key. That's the new moon on May 11th. As we get into May 12th, the sun drops the quincunx to Juno and picks up that sextile to Neptune, right? Because it was close yesterday, it picks it up today. So we've got the sun sextiling Neptune. Mercury drops its square to Pluto, but holds its trine to Saturn. And Mars drops its aspects to the nodes, but maintains its square to Chiron and sextile to Uranus, who still hold their aspects to the nodes. It's also Jupiter's last day in Aquarius. And anytime a major planet like that is in the last degree, its last day of a sign, there's always some radical energy that's going on with it. So, know that the sun sextile Neptune can go two ways. You can absolutely nosedive plummet into your abyss, your shadow, and move into major escapism and a stubbornness around it, right? That you would resist and not move in your mentality when, in alignment with your soul, that you could definitely move into a deep, dark depth if you chose, right, previously on the 11th, to not give a fuck and throw your hands up, right? This is the next, follow-up energy to that vibration. If you didn't give a fuck, threw your hands up, didn't do anything, gave up, then the following day, you may very well be in your very dark place, doing very dark behavioral things that do not align with anything good. You could also completely be fortifying in your spirit, right? The complete opposite end of the spectrum, where your soul feels really strong, where you feel really connected in your reality to spirit, that you have this sense of divine trust in everything that's going on. Slow and steady wins the race. I can take one step at a time. I can listen and do as I'm guided from a soul-filled place and act accordingly, and that is my strength, right? That is where you'll be finding your strength. That is where you'll be finding your stamina, or the ability to continue doing things, right? It's like the little engine that could. I think I can, and just continuing up the mountain, right? One person might be looking at the mountain and saying, fuck this, and sit at the bottom of the mountain, and they're never going to get to the top and or over or through the mountain if they just sit there. And the other person is the little engine that could, and it's like, I think I can. And no matter what comes up, they just keep taking one step forward, one foot in front of the other. They're not thinking about how many steps are in front of them. All they know is they need to take the next step, or they'll never get over, or they'll never get through. Okay? Two very different mentalities depending on which alignment you chose. Mercury dropping its sesquare to Pluto and holding its trine to Aquarius. The communications from your higher self and the communications coming out of you through actions, synchronicities, words like verbal communication, written communication. If you're in alignment, it's being communicated on every level of immediate reality and perception. This is a complete sync between what you know is in front of you and what you know you're going to create in the bigger picture of things with that energy. If you are in a high, positive, hopeful, faithful energy, right? This high vibration, you're probably getting a flood. And I do mean a flood of synchronicities. Like, you can't miss it. You will see numbers. You will see repeating words. You will see repeating places that hold vibrations. You will see flowers over and over and over again. And flowers hold a specific meaning. You Google it, it tells you, right? You're seeing an animal that, it just catches your eye. You take notice to it. You Google it. It has a meaning, right? Animal spirit medicine, animal totems, they have power. The divine is speaking to you all over the fucking place. If you're in alignment, you are getting every sign and every synchronicity that the divine could possibly throw at you. To reassure you, remind you your alignment is good, remind you it's high, remind you it's working on your behalf in the background, that you don't have to know how it's putting everything together. You just have to keep doing as you're guided, right? Listening to what you can do in the moment, in the now, taking things for face value. Okay, it is what it is. I'm gonna focus on this then. You know what I mean? It's letting you know through a flood of syncs that you're good. If you find yourself in a vibration on May 12th where you are just getting synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity, know you're good. Know the universe knows what your highest vision is. Know the universe understands what reality you're trying to create. And it's saying, don't worry, I got you. Literally. The sun is so powerful. I talk about tight aspects, but everything has an orb. You could be getting these kind of syncs starting to flood in a week prior. You could be getting syncs flood in for the following whole week. You could be getting a flood of syncs all fucking month. I'm telling you, the universe is letting you know you're good. Trust. Stay positive. Stay in that high alignment. Stay solution-oriented. Stay open. Stay open. Don't close off and be an impossible. Don't be sitting inside the box with your hands on your head saying, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck in this box, and just sit there. I don't know how to deal with this mountain, and just sit at the base of the mountain. As long as you're doing something, you're going to reach the right solution, and or the path will just simply be revealed. Because every time you do something and it doesn't create the outcome, then you only have more options or more possibilities that do create the outcome. Right? It might be something so fucking random. let's just say you're sitting in the box and you're trying to force this thing open with your legs, right? Maybe you're solution oriented. It didn't work pushing up on the ceiling. So now you're upside down against the wall and you're using your legs to push up against the roof of the box. Maybe it still doesn't open. Maybe it's not even budging. And you're like, God, how do I open this box? I'm trapped in this box. How do I open this box? Maybe the solution is something you would never think. Maybe something like singing opens the box. Who knows? You would never think that singing a song would open the box, but maybe that's how the box opens. Brute force and trying and effort isn't opening it. So you let your soul sing inside the box. Maybe it opens. Maybe it's not song. Maybe it's dancing. Maybe you just start dancing inside that fucking box, and the vibration of your feet, the rhythm of your movement opens the box. What if the solution is something completely different than what your mind could possibly perceive? Well, this is how people open boxes. They push on the lid. They pull on the flaps and open it. Yeah, that's the old way or the learned way. But we're not in that vibration and that energy. We're in a vibration this month where we're learning to be authentic, right? So maybe something authentic is what opens the box. That's what this Sun in Taurus, sextile Neptune in Pisces energy is. How do you use your soul to better the reality? How do you do that? This is a wonderful vibration. There's going to be tons of blessings and tons of blessings in disguise with Jupiter leaving Aquarius and entering Pisces tomorrow. Because Jupiter's like, do you see it from my perspective? Do you see the bigger picture? Do you see what I'm trying to teach you to heal yourself, to heal your perspective? I'm trying to get you to think outside the box so that you can get outside the box. If you're stuck in the box, it's because you have stuck in the box thinking. If you want out of the box, you got to think outside the box. This is Jupiter's last final push in Aquarius. Okay? Now, May 13th, Jupiter does transit into Pisces, right? Jupiter's in Pisces now. And there's no challenges present in the sky either. There's no oppositions, no squares, no sesquiquadrates, no semi-squares, none of it. No actual challenges. Jupiter transits into the sign of the soul. And there's no challenges in the sky. The sun holds its sextile to Neptune. Mars drops that square it had to Chiron and picks up a quincunx to Saturn. And everything else holds no aspects, minus Chiron and Uranus's aspects and influence on the nodes. Because mind you, this is that small window during the month where Pluto is not challenging the nodes. It's not within a tight degree challenge of the nodes. There's no challenges going on. Everything is either a sextile, a quincunx. There's no negative aspects. No hard aspects. May 13th, you could get a slew of downloads, intuitive inspirations, nudges, pings, gut feelings. You could feel really connected to yourself. You could feel really connected to humanity and the greater conscious and what you're going to do. That who you are is in alignment with the whole. You are a victor, not a victim, not a villain, a victor, a champion of self. This feeling can be huge on this day. Huge. Huge. If you're in a vibration of escapism and life is shitty and I'm sitting at the bottom of the mountain, you will be of the awareness that the only person in your way is you. The only thing stopping you is you. And you're either going to continue to escape further and dodge yourself further, or you're going to actually stand up and look at the mountain and be like, you know what? I need to take the first step. I'm not going anywhere. The universe might bring on some crazy fucking weather, and so you're like, I gotta find shelter. I gotta find something to go into, like a cave, or something to hide under, like a big tree. And you might literally be forced to get up and move. To look for your solution. Universe ain't gonna let you sit there. The higher self, the oversoul, is completely in control. You can't fail on the 13th unless you choose to sit there and get rained on. Think about that. You'd have to be pretty fucking stubborn and love your misery to choose to sit there and do nothing and get fucking rained on. Spirit moves you forward. You will not stay stuck here. Spirit loves you too much. Your higher self loves you too much to let you stay stuck. You'll sit in that rain for a couple minutes and the wind will fucking blow to make sure you're chilled to the bone and you have to run for cover. You have to get out of the weather. You will not be able to stand yourself. Truly. Because there's no challenges. There's no challenges in the sky. This continues on May 14th. There's no challenges. The sun drops its sextile to Neptune, but there's still no challenges. For 2 solid days. Reminds me of that Carrie Underwood song, like Jesus Take the Wheel. It's that vibration. You think your soul was going to get stuck in a rut and rot. You wrong. You're wrong. Motivation from the soul comes in. Now, May 15th, Pluto retrograde moves back into challenge with the nodes. And the sun semi-squares Chiron. Mars holds its quincunx to Saturn. It's bringing in that energy of, can I do this? What can I do? We know the universe is pushing us forward, and we instantly feel like we have to try. That's the challenge. That we have to make it happen. Now that the universe propelled us, we have to do something. Maybe the universe pushed you into the cave and forced you to find a cave because the path is not over the mountain, but through it. Yeah, it's dark in there. But it's the fastest way. It's a shorter route than up and down over it. Yeah, it's dark. But you ain't going to get stuck in the weather again. Maybe the universe guided you into that cave for a reason. Had you run for cover and you found yourself in that cave for a reason. Maybe you're not meant to come back out and get over the mountain that way. Maybe you meant to go through it and not know. not know what's in front of you. Maybe you're supposed to trust. Take your time. Maybe you wander into a fucking room filled with glowworms and you make yourself a little torch of glowworms to help you along the rest of your way. Who the fuck knows what you'll find in there if you don't go in? Maybe it's not nearly as scary as you think. You can keep your hands along the wall and feel your way through. You don't need to see. You can feel your way. That's the point. Spirit wants you to feel your way through. With Mars in Cancer, holding its quincunx to Saturn in Aquarius, you are meant to feel your way through and see how the universe blesses you when you trust what you feel. Because to be completely honest, if you run into that cave to seek refuge, you might be a little nervous coming out being afraid you're going to get stuck in the fucking elements again. Weather on a mountainside can be completely unpredictable, especially when you get closer to the top. It can become difficult, freezing. You can have low air. You might have a hard time breathing if you get that high up to the top of the mountain in order to get over it. What if you're meant to go through and feel your way through? Does the universe not know what it's doing? Does Source, Spirit, God, your higher self not know what it's doing? When it gets you up off your ass out of the fucking rain and you find refuge in just the right spot? Why can't you be in the perfect cave that gets you all the way through the mountain? Why can't you? Why is that not possible? You don't know. You could think it's not, but what if it is? What if, taking that chance and feeling your way through, you find your way to the other side and you dodged a hell of an experience climbing up mountain and falling down mountain to get to the other side? Think about it. Do you trust? Do you trust Spirit? Your soul. Do you trust your soul? The one that is throwing synchronicities at you and reassuring you it's okay. You're good. Trust. That's why it's throwing you synchronicities, to reassure you that you're okay and to trust your soul. On May 16th, Pluto also sesquares Venus in Gemini, who's conjuncting the North Node. Venus sesquaring Pluto is doubling down. Conjunct North Node is doubling down on the fact that you are in the right place at the right time. If you're having fears about going out there and all of the treacherous shit that you would face on the path out there, that you feel safe in soul inside that cave, it is letting you know, doubling down, you are in the right place at the right time. You're exactly where you're meant to be. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Keep going through. You might not know how you're going to get to the other side, but one step at a time, feeling your way through, knowing that you're safe in there, knowing that you're not subjected to the elements, knowing that you're not going to be privy to rain and freezing temperatures and low oxygen and all that other shit, knowing that you are in the right place at the right time is everything. The old way of being would have been go outside and face it. Deal with all of the crap. You don't have to deal with all that crap. Square Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. You do not have to do things the way everybody else or the way history would have told you to do things. You're not doing things the way you used to. This is a conjunction that Venus is having with the North Node. The facts of the reality and where you are and what feels good and what you're grateful for is the way. Stay in alignment, one step at a time, dealing with what's in front of you right now that feels good. Do what feels good. That's May 16th. That continues on the 17th. There's no changes other than Mars drops its quincunx to Saturn. But it's maintaining this square it has to Jupiter in Pisces. Because it definitely picked up a square to Jupiter in Pisces yesterday. Don't fight your soul. Don't fight your soul. Feel your way through. A part of you will feel super nervous because it's dark in the cave and you don't know what the fuck is in there. All you know is you feel safer in the cave than you do out there. It's going to take everything in you not to resist doing what you've always done. It's going to take everything in you to go deep, to go through. A part of us is terrified of the unknown. We would rather see all of the crap hitting the fan around us than just trust, even if it's dark. You have less threats to you going through the cave than you do out there. Embrace the unknown journey. Doing what you have never done before. Doing what those before you have never done. Entrusting their soul. Trust you're in the right place at the right time. Trust you're in the right place at the right time. The universe puts you in the right place at the right time, and it is up to you to stay there. It is up to you to continue. Mars dropping its quincunx to Saturn, it's up to you now. The universe got you where you need to be. It is up to you to stay in alignment with that and to go with it. May 18th, the sun drops its trine to Pluto, who's still challenging Venus and the nodes, though Venus is off the actual conjunction with North Node at this point. It's more than a degree off now. The heart's leading the way. Pluto's going to lose this challenge come the following day. You're either in or you're out, right? You're either in or you're out. There's no more of this favoring going out of the cave or fearing staying in it. As of May 18th, you've chosen. You're either in or you're out. Mercury in Gemini opposes Juno retrograde in Sag. Part of you knows one step at a time in the cave, there's no guarantee you're getting out. You can't possibly see how you're going to get to your greatest vision. You can't see it at all. For all you know, you're going to reach a dead end in there. You cannot, for the life of you, see how what you're doing one step at a time trusting yourself is going to get you what you want through, right, to the other side. And Mars in Cancer is holding its square to Jupiter in Pisces. Fucking clueless. Whether you're in or out of the cave, you have no fucking clue how you're actually going to get up and over that mountain if you walk out. And you have no fucking clue how you're going to get to the other side of this mountain if you go through the cave. Because walking out of the cave seems like an impossible fucking task. The mountain is huge. The environment is unpredictable and dangerous. The weather is unpredictable and potentially dangerous. The threats out there from predatory things that would prey on you and feed off of you are out there. You have no idea how you're going to find the physical strength and energy to get up and over this fucking mountain. It seems like an impossible task. You're already anticipating just how fucking difficult it's going to be. Now, you might not know how you're going to get through the cave because it's fucking dark. But you know you're not exposed to the elements. You know if there were any predators in that cave, they would have got your ass already. And you're still there. You just don't know if you're going to make it through to the other side or not. But you sure as shit ain't going uphill. And you sure as shit are safe from the elements. There's nothing jumping out of a fucking tree to pounce on you. Or bite you coming out of a freaking bush. You have no idea how you're going to get to where you're going. Either because you can't see or because you know it's going to be fucking hard. And exhausting. You can get to the other side of the mountain either way. You can. Whether you go out there and climb it, or whether you go through the cave. You're going to get to the other side of the mountain regardless. But one is a lot more effective and efficient. One is a lot safer. Even if you can't see and you're going through it blindly. You're going to get to the other side regardless, but one's definitely harder. One's definitely more exhausting. So trust, right? Trust your soul. Maybe get on that effective and efficient route through. Instead of feeling like you have to get up and over. That you have to climb and keep pulling yourself up and pushing yourself beyond your limits, your physical limits, to where you're tiring yourself out. Because there's going to be days along that journey where you want to break down. Where you want to sit under a tree and cry because you hurt all over. Because the rain's pouring down on you again and there's no cave for you to jump into. That moment passed and you're missing the cave. Like, you're going to have those moments where you wish you were back in the cave and would have stayed in the cave. There's going to be those moments if you don't go through the cave. On the 19th, none of that changes except Venus drops the square to Pluto. In order to trine Saturn. Venus drops the sesquiquadrate to Pluto to trine Saturn. Venus loves and appreciates the divine order of things in the higher perspective. You will either love that you stayed in the cave because now you found that cavern room filled with glowworms, and it's amazing to see. It's dazzling to the eyes. You can take those glowworms with you and create that torch. So you're not just feeling your way through with your hand along the wall, but you can actually kind of sort of see what's going on in the cave. Or you're absolutely going to realize just how perfect that cave was. From outside of the cave, huddled up under a tree, hiding from the rain, praying to God that nothing eats you. May 19th is going to be that realization of gratitude for the blessings that you received from trusting yourself, or gratitude for the blessing in disguise that says, hey, you missed that cave. You didn't walk that far from it. Do you want to keep going up this fucking mountain, feeling like you're feeling? Or do you want to just take a couple steps back, dial it back, take a couple steps back on yourself? You got ahead of yourself and go back to the cave where you knew you were safe, where you kind of had a feeling you could have stayed there and went through instead. May 20th, the sun transits in the Gemini. We're finally thinking clearly about what we need to do right now. Finally thinking clearly. Finally seeing the next step we're supposed to take clearly. Because trust me, if the way is through the cave, the way is through the cave. You can fight every step of the way and keep going up. But there's everything in your body, mind, soul, spirit, heart telling you to go back in the cave and through. It's also squaring Jupiter. The sun transiting into Gemini is squaring Jupiter. So don't get it twisted. Just because you know the next step is in alignment with your soul doesn't mean that you're not nervous. You're nervous. Yeah, you found a cave full of glowworms. What the fuck else could be lingering in this cave? Or yeah, you made a mistake leaving the cave and now you got to go back. What if you make another mistake? Spirit's still asking you to trust. Your soul is still asking you to trust. But there's definitely a nervousness to it. You might find yourself talking to yourself. Literally out loud talking to yourself. Mercury in Gemini drops its opposition in Juno. Venus in Gemini drops its trine to Saturn. Mars in Cancer drops its sesquare to Jupiter. Neptune and Saturn don't hold any aspects. Literally, none of them are holding aspects. The only aspects completely lit in the sky right now are Chiron and Pluto influencing the nodes, and the sun squaring Jupiter, while Uranus and Chiron are still semi-sextile. That's it. How are you going to do things? Are you a victim or a victor? Are you going to make it? Are you going to be, I think I can, or I think I can, I think I can? Or are you going to sit down where you're at? Just because you can see inside the cavern of glowworms, are you going to sit there because you could see and you don't want to go back into a cave where it's dark? Go back down a tunnel where it's dark? You're going to stay where there's light? Even if you know you're not meant to stay there because you're meant to get through? got to keep moving forward. You got to keep doing new things, trying new things, staying in a high vibration, trusting in yourself. Trusting yourself, trusting your soul. It knows what it's doing. Your soul knows what it's doing. Because it either feels good or it feels bad. And if it feels bad, it's not in alignment with your soul. That's your head. That's your mind playing tricks on you about what you should or shouldn't do, can and can't do, what your limitations are. Giving into your fears. Who you are and where you are is correct. For the soul lesson you're meant to understand. You can't give up, and you got to keep moving forward either way. You either got to continue going up the mountain, or you got to go back to the cave to go through the mountain, or you're in the cave and you got to keep going through. The whole point is you can't stay stuck. You got to keep trusting in forward. You have to keep trusting in forward. Either way, no matter where you find yourself, you got to trust that no matter what you do, you're going to get to the other side, hell or high water. You're going to get there. You just can't stay stuck. You can't stay anywhere. You have to keep moving. You can't stay stuck in the past on what you coulda, shoulda, woulda done, but you have to make a choice right now. You can't be the victim. You can't let your reality stagnate. It needs to keep shifting. Uranus is in Taurus. It needs to keep shifting. There's no stagnation. In order to create stability and receive all that is everlastingly stable, you've got to go through continuous radical shifts in what you choose to do. If you're going to make it easy on yourself. On the 21st, Mercury picks up a square to Neptune. Mercury picks up a square to Neptune. Mercury's in Gemini, Neptune's in Pisces. If you're there talking to yourself, right? If you're having that conversation and you're talking to yourself and you're going on a fucking rant, you might be arguing with your soul. I'm tired of not seeing what's going on in this cave. I'm tired of being in the dark. I hate it. I hate not knowing what's going on. I hate not knowing if I'm going to make it to the other side or not. I hate it. You could be outside that mountain cursing your fucking soul and spirit because it's not giving you another cave. It's not giving you any help. And you're stuck 1 foot at a time going up that mountain and dealing with the elements and every other fucking thing out there, mosquitoes and all. You're fucking tired of it. The 20th, the 21st, you're gonna start feeling a little fed up. Because either you don't like that you're dealing with what you've always been dealing with, or you don't like not knowing if you're going to actually make it through in this trusting alignment that you took. You could be wondering if you're living in a fucking la-la land. Honestly. Am I living in some fucking dream? Thinking I'm going to get over the mountain? Am I living in some fucking la-la land dream? Actually thinking that this tunnel that I went through is actually going to lead to the other side? Have I lost my fucking mind? Thinking I'm going to get over or thinking I'm going to get through? Seriously questioning your sanity. You could literally be questioning your sanity. It's okay. It's okay. If you feel that way, know the cosmos are definitely in alignment with you feeling that way. Everything's for a reason. You're meant to question your sanity. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. There's a reason for sayings like that. The journey's not going to kill you. It's going to teach you that you could trust your soul, whether you choose the hard way or the easy way, the I can see what I'm doing and I'm in control way, or the I can't see shit and it's out of my control way. Spirit's helping you. It's okay if you feel insane for doing the same thing over and over and over again, or if you feel fucking crazy for being a rebel and doing it a different way. Having trust and faith like you have never had before. It's okay if you feel crazy. Now on May 22nd, the sun drops its square to Jupiter in Pisces and picks up a semi-square to Mars in Cancer, who picks up a semi-sextile from Venus. Now, we felt crazy, right? We had felt crazy. And that's an emotional process, okay? When our mind starts to think all kinds of things and we feel crazy, it's an emotional process. Especially because that Mercury was squaring Neptune and Pisces, right? Pisces being a water sign. With the sun dropping its square to Jupiter in Pisces and picking up that semi-square to Mars in Cancer, this is us saying, suck it up, buttercup. You made the right choice. You would have hated being in the dark. You don't know for sure if you would have got through that cave. You might miss it, the safety of it, but it's almost like your mind is reaffirming that your heart made the right choice. Yeah, it's fucking hard, but you know what? I'd rather be out here dealing with the mosquitoes and dealing with the weather. At least I could see where I'm going, and I know dang right well, so long as I keep going, I will get to the other side. This is your mind and your heart being in agreement. No, I made the right choice. I made the right choice. Might be crazy that I'm dealing with the choice, but I'm glad I made this choice over that one. Same thing if you're in the cave. You know what? I might not know where the fuck this is going, and I don't know if it's going to lead me out, but I'd much rather be in here feeling my way through than dealing with everything going on out there. I really do feel like if I can make it through this cave, it's going to be a much shorter journey than had I gone above and over. I'm more likely to survive because I'm not freezing to death or having a hard time breathing. I'm glad I made the choice to go through the cave. Yeah, it's dark, but I'd rather be in here than out there. It's telling your feelings. It's literally the sun in Gemini telling your feelings. It's like, suck it up. Suck it up. You made the right choice either way. You made the right choice for you either way. And your mind is reaffirming that your heart, that your soul was not wrong in what it chose. It wasn't wrong. Now, on May 23rd, Chiron drops its aspects to the nodes, who are now only being challenged by Pluto retrograding Capricorn. Chiron's holding its semi-sextile to Uranus. It's going to do that for the whole rest of the month. But both Uranus and Chiron are no longer in tight relationship aspecting the nodes. Just Pluto. Just Pluto. The old way of doing things being undone. It's challenging both our comfort zones, making us feel extremely uncomfortable doing things the old way, believing things the old way, making choices the old way that don't trust the self, and also making it very uncomfortable in the new. The old self and the old way does not like the new. It's uncomfortable to be new and different. That energy is very much lingering completely in the background the rest of the month. The sextile from Chiron and Uranus that is also holding the rest of the month is still very much shaking up the part of our minds that creates that victim whirlwind that we could find ourselves in. The reality is very, very different for a reason. Our mental state, our way of thinking is shifting for a reason. The Sun in Gemini holds its semi-square to Mars, who holds its semi-sextile to Venus, as Venus moves into opposition with Juno, who is quincunxing back to Mars. There's a triangulation between Venus, Mars, and Juno. With Mars being semi-squared by the Sun, right? Our emotions are being told to suck it up. It's okay. Trust the reality, right? Love where you're at. Love where you're at. Even though where you're at and loving where you're at is completely different from where you want to be. You don't want to be in the cave and you don't want to be on the mountain. Venus opposing Juno, where you are is not where you want to be. It does not mean that you can't be completely grateful for where you are and where your alignment, loving your choices gets you. Because as long as you love your choices and your choices moving forward, you're going to love where you end up. You might not be where you want to be. But if you're in the alignment you want to be in, you will find yourself where you want to be. Mercury holds its square to Neptune. Still feeling a little crazy. And Saturn goes retrograde. Saturn's not holding any aspects, tight aspects, but Saturn goes retrograde. Saturn retrograde in Aquarius is helping us see how every time we didn't trust ourselves, we quit. We took the wrong step, made the wrong choice. It's helping us see that whenever we did things that we didn't want to do, that it didn't really work out in our favor. Did it? Didn't really work out the way we thought it would. Not that it didn't work out in the long run, but it didn't work out the way we thought it would. Saturn in Aquarius, retrograde, is also understanding on a larger scale how you're not the only one who does that. Our best thinking gets us here. Doesn't mean our best thinking is the best thinking. It's just our individual thinking at its best, which is either in the box or out the box, right? It's the best we had in the moment. Doesn't mean it is the absolute best. Our best thinking gets us here. Our best thinking either got us in the cave or took us out of it. Either way, the path had challenges, whether they were literal physical world challenges or psychological challenges. Saturn in Aquarius can also be very me, myself, and I. It could definitely put you in a vibration of feeling disconnected and feeling like no one can relate. That you can't relate to other people, or they couldn't possibly relate to you and understand you. The people in the cave have no clue how to relate to the person who bared it through the elements and decided to go over. And the person outside the cave who decided to go up and over because they'd rather see what they're doing, even if it's hard, cannot relate to the person who trusted blindly to go through the cave. That makes no fucking sense to them. People are on two different ends of the spectrum. And they could feel very disconnected. People do not understand what they're going through or how they see things. Major disconnect from others. Could definitely feel like you're alone. Even if you're not. You could definitely feel like no one understands you. And that you really don't understand people. You might take a look at the world around you and be like, I don't fucking get why people do what they do. I don't get why people make it so hard on themselves, or I don't understand why people do crazy shit. That makes no sense. It could feel really detached. And feeling that kind of disconnected can definitely be distractive in the thoughts. So make sure that you're focusing on yourself one step at a time. You don't have to understand other people. You just got to understand you. It doesn't have to make sense to you why other people do what they do, or think what they think, or believe what they believe. Trust what they trust. It doesn't have to make sense. You just got to make sense to you. That's going to be the challenge with Saturn retrograde. Understanding how people get themselves in the situations they're in is not your concern. It's not. There's more than one way to achieve the dream. There's more than one way to get from point A to point B. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Nothing changes on the 24th. On the 25th, Mercury drops its square to Neptune. Venus drops its opposition to Juno and its semi-sextile to Mars, who's still holding that quincunx to Juno, and the semi-square to the Sun. The only aspects lit that are tight are the Chiron and Uranus semi-sextile, the Pluto challenges to the nodes, and the Sun semi-square Mars quincunxing Juno. Again, we're not victims of our reality. Our reality is just different from everybody else's. We're not victims of our reality. Our reality is just very different from everybody else's. Our way of doing things is very different from the way we used to do things. And we can't let our feelings dictate what we do or cause us to stop or get us upset, because we have a goal in mind. We're getting to where we're going, whether it's over or through. We have a goal. And we can't feel some type of way because other people don't understand, or because we don't understand other people. We have a goal. Point blank period. We have a goal. May 26th is the full moon in Sagittarius. So the moon and the sun are in opposition, right? Full moon in Sagittarius. It peaks at exactly 7:13 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. They're challenged by Mars. Mars is semi-squaring the Sun in Gemini and sesquaring the Moon in Sag. Mars also drops its quincunx to Juno as well. All right, Venus picks up a square to Neptune, right? Mercury had just gotten over its square to Neptune, and now Venus is picking up a square to Neptune. So we went from thinking we're crazy to absolutely feeling crazy. We could also be super grateful for our spirit, that we are who we are, that we're not other people. We don't understand them, but we are so grateful that we understand ourselves. We could feel crazy, or we could feel completely aligned with ourselves. The Mars challenge: how do you love yourself best? How do you bring love of self into your thoughts and your vision? With it dropping its quincunx to Juno and picking up a sesquare to the Moon, the Sagittarian energy that Mars is playing on, we could have a really hard time loving our reality or holding faith in the vision. Okay. And the full moons are always about release. This is about releasing the idea that you could quit on yourself. It's challenging. The reality itself, the face value of things, is challenging. The vision is hard to see. It's definitely easy to quit. But we've got to have faith and gratitude in the unknown, the rest of what is between point A and B. We're halfway there. Literally, it's like, oh, we're halfway there. Wow, living on a prayer. Like, that's it. We're fucking praying. Because we could feel completely torn with a square to Neptune, Venus and Neptune. We could feel torn. Are we living in la la land? Or are we just doing as we're guided and that's okay? You might sporadically break out in tears of either gratitude or feeling lost or hopeless, because you're either going to have complete faith and trust in what you can't see, and you're going to be praying and you're going to be crying because you don't know how you're going to do it. You just know that you are, or you're going to be crying because you know you're trying to get somewhere and it's harder than you thought. These are the aspects lit throughout the day. As added detail, right? The devil in the details outside of just the major players. At the exact peak of the full moon, at 7:13 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the sun and moon are also being influenced by Estrella retrograde in Capricorn, who's right next to Cupido retrograde in Capricorn. And Cupido is sextiling Apollon as they both quincunx Vulcan retrograde in Gemini, who is the apex of their yod, within 2 degrees of the sun. Estrella retrograde in Capricorn, influencing the sun and the moon, who are both in planetary bodies that deal with the way we think and the way we visualize, how we use our mind. The face value facts of the reality and the vision. Estrella retrograde in Capricorn is essentially re-breaking the parts of our mind that were broken and never healed right. It's like re-breaking a bone to reset it so it can heal correctly this time. Like you had a break in your mind and your thinking that never healed correctly, and so it stayed inefficient or ineffective or painful. And Estrella is essentially breaking the mind where it didn't heal correctly so that it can heal correctly. This is not about doing what's not in alignment with your soul. This is not about doing what your counterparts or sacred soulmates would tell you is the right thing for you. This is about bringing the hammer down on the reality that only you know what's best for you. Nobody else knows your soul song like you do. Your family can love you and guide you, and they can give you the best advice. But if it's not in alignment with you, it's not in alignment with you. You can't force yourself. Your best friend, right? You could have a best friend in a relationship that seems toxic to you, and you could give them the best advice ever. Get out of the relationship. I'll help you, blah, blah, blah. And they don't leave. Because it's the best path for them to learn how to trust themselves. To figure out their own solutions. It just doesn't resonate with them for you to be their savior. The best advice they could hear to leave now is not what's resonating. There's something else that needs to happen along their journey that is meant for them to experience in order to break their thinking and heal it. Nobody knows what's best for you except you. And that goes for everybody else too. Whether people realize it or not, they know what's best for their healing better than you. What's going to break their mind in order for it to reset correctly better than you. You know whatever you're choosing is going to break your mind and reset it best for you. At the end of the day, everybody's souls know what they're doing. Zeus retrograde in Libra, again, is playing a role, though this time it's challenging the sun and the moon. Where before it was involved in the quincunx, and it was creating a wild card of understanding where we're misaligned, it's challenging us now. It's semi-squaring the moon and sesquaring the sun, as it's trining Venus and squaring Mars, who are within 2 degrees of a semi-sextile with each other. Sometimes we do shit that is out of alignment. Sometimes we choose things that are painful or hurt or are scary because it's the only way to fucking learn. It's the only way to learn. It's the only way to break the mind and start to love and trust the mind. It doesn't always feel good. Having to break our beliefs and our perspectives. Realizing that the way to our goal is not the way anybody else said we're supposed to get there. There's also an antiod. The antiod is taking place as Vesta in Virgo. T squares the nodes, which makes Pluto the apex, as Virgo and North Node both sesquare it. Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, being major challenged by the authentic self and destiny's direction, who don't understand each other right now. The authentic self and the facts of the reality with North Node and Gemini do not understand each other. We don't understand how being our authentic self is truly in alignment with destiny's direction. All we know is what we're choosing in our healing, as hard as it is to undo the deep soul scar on how we do things. Why we make it hard on ourselves. Why we pick things that are painful to go through. That's the part of the mind that's breaking. Why we feel the need to be hurt and or self-punishing by choosing things that are against the best advice. It's the best advice. How could you not take the best advice? How could you not take the best advice you'd give someone else? Why is it okay for you to give them advice and they should take that advice, but you wouldn't take that advice if it were given to you? Why is it so hard to do what frees you from pain? There is a break in the mind that didn't heal right. Thinking that pain was necessary to achieve a goal. And if we just keep trying and trying and trying through the pain, it'll stop hurting one day. When did a bone ever break and heal incorrectly and not continue to cause discomfort and pain? When did that ever just stop hurting one day? It doesn't. No wonder why we feel crazy. Venus squaring Neptune, right? No wonder why we feel crazy. Because a part of us doesn't want to break our minds and reset. Because it's going to hurt a lot to re-break our mind. But if it heals correctly, is it not worth it? Because now it's not painful anymore. You're not hoping that the pain goes away one day. Trying and trying and trying to use a mind and a perspective that's only causing you pain. Sometimes people have to learn the hard way. And it's going to hurt a lot before it gets better. Or it's going to just simply hurt indefinitely until you let your mind break and reset. Vesta is also being trined by Uranus and quincunxed by Chiron. The authentic self wants to shake shit up and stop being a victim. That's authentic. The authentic self wants to take the best advice. It does. It really does. But there are so many other challenges present in the sky. Literally. There's a lot of fucking challenges today. That you could literally hear the best advice and it can go through one ear, not the other. And vice versa. You know in advance. You're getting this message, you know in advance on the full moon and around that date, right? Because these energies are, I'm talking about tight aspects. But as these energies come into alignment and leave alignment, there's lingering orbs, right, of this energy. You could be feeling it a few days before. You could be feeling it a few days after. If you're getting advice from anybody who fucking loves you, unconditionally. They love you without personal agenda or motive. They advise you with no personal agenda or motive. They advise you because they love you. In the week prior or the week after, the 3 days prior or the 3 days after this moon, seriously consider their advice. Consider actually possibly taking it. Break your mind. Choose it now. Break your mind so the universe doesn't have to do it for you. Because that's essentially what this is. You know what's in best alignment for your healing. The healing is to break the mind. You're either going to do it the hard way or the easy way. You can choose it for yourself, or your higher self, spirit, the universe is going to do it for you. You'd be like, you know what? This is a toxic dynamic. This is a toxic experience. This is a toxic environment, a toxic situation. Someone's giving me advice. What if I just do it? They're coming from an unconditionally loving vibration, which means it's in alignment with my soul at its best, because my soul at its best is unconditionally loving. So if I'm not unconditionally loving myself, how could I not trust someone who is unconditionally loving myself? Me. You know what's best for your healing better than anybody else. Whether it's the hard way or the easy way. Think about it. If someone is giving you advice to do something, research something, look something up, get this form filled out, whatever the fuck it is, apply for this job, whatever advice they're giving you, challenge yourself. Say, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. It may or may not work out. I'm going to give it a shot anyway. This person loves me without motive. This person loves me without agenda. It's worth a shot. I know I've got wounding I'm up against. I know I have things that have not healed correctly within myself. I'm aware. So instead of giving them possible power to control whatever the fuck I go through, instead of learning the hard way about my wounds, maybe I'll just trust the unconditionally loving vibration that's speaking to me. Maybe instead of looking at them like they don't know what the fuck they're talking about because they have no idea who I am or what I want, maybe I'll look at them like they're my fucking earth angel. And they're trying to save me from myself. Because myself has broken pieces that need to break and be fixed. What have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? For all the challenges present with this moon, break your mind. Maybe you're used to doing things your way, and you've always done things your way, defiantly so. Maybe this time you can give someone who's unconditionally loving you a little fucking credit. Maybe you can give them some fucking credit. Maybe you can offer them gratitude. Thank you for taking the time to love me. I'm actually going to do something with it. You know how awesome they would feel? Knowing that their love didn't fall on deaf ears, insistent on going through something the hard way. Maybe their way doesn't work exactly the way they thought it would, but maybe it absolutely leads you to the next step that does, because the divine is awesome like that. And one step leads to another. And it's serendipitous. Right place, right time kind of miracles. Thank you for telling me to research this, because in my research of that, I discovered this, and this actually might help me. And I wouldn't have found it if I didn't start researching what you asked me to research. This energy continues. Okay, there's no real changes on the 27th. Sun is still semi-squaring Mars. Venus is still squaring Neptune. But Venus is moving into conjunction with Mercury. Okay. It's moving into conjunction with Mercury. Mercury's slowing down. It's been slowing down. Venus is catching up to it. Understand there's a lot of love that has to go into the mind. A lot of love has to go into it, into the thoughts. Like love wins. You got to drum it home. That whole perspective that love wins, love wins, love wins. That means if someone is unconditionally loving me with no agenda, it wins. It will win in the end. If I love myself to take the best advice against my woundings, I have to know and trust that that love will win. I might not know how it's going to work out, but it's going to win. Because it's aligned with love. It's getting into this mindset. The end of May. The 28th, Venus ends up dropping its square to Neptune and definitely conjuncts Mercury in Gemini. The only major aspects are the semi-sextile to Chiron and Uranus and the challenge from Pluto to the nodes. That's it. On the 28th, that's it. That's all that's in the sky with the majors. And the fact that Venus is conjunct Gemini. You're not a victim. Reality has to drastically change. You can't do things the old way, even if the new way is uncomfortable. You have to bring love and gratitude into the mind and what you communicate to others and with your actions. Thank you for that advice. I'm going to take it. Gratitude and love with your actions. I'm going to take it. It's new for me. It's not something I would normally do. But you know what? What I normally do has caused me a bunch of fucking shit. So why not? What do I have to lose? Besides all the fucking crazy shit. May 29th, Mercury goes retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde. Venus passes it and it goes retrograde. Mars picks up a trine to Neptune. Listen, the heart knows what it's doing. The heart knows what it's doing. Like literally, if someone tells you to reconcile with this person or to be the bigger person and just let them know you love them type shit. Like, listen, not trying to open up old wounds or anything like that. Just know, I know we've disagreed in the past. I know I did this and maybe that wasn't right. Just know that I'm sorry. I love you. Whatever it is. Whatever you're being advised. Whatever the guidance is. Don't fucking fight it. The heart is taking off. It's the mind that has to go back and heal things. Mars in Cancer picking up the trine to Neptune in Pisces. You got to fall in love with your spirit. You got to love yourself so much that you would lift the weights off of it. The weights in the mind, the burden and the pain in the mind. You've got to love yourself enough to let go of the weights on your soul. Things you coulda, shoulda, woulda done or said better in the past. Letting go of what other people coulda, shoulda, woulda done better in the past. And allowing love to to take its place instead. Listen, I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. End of the day, I don't want to leave you feeling like I hate you. I don't want to leave you feeling like you're not good enough. I don't want to leave you feeling like you can never reach out to me if you really needed me, because at the end of the day, I still care about you. I still want you to be okay, whether I'm in your life or not. Whether I'm in your future or not. I don't want to be the one that scars you mentally. Other people might leave their scars on you, but it's not going to be me. This is about lifting the weights off of your soul. Loving yourself enough to get into true alignment. To love your thought processes. To love the fact that you can go back to someone you had a blowout with 10 fucking years ago and be like, you know what? Back then, this is the kind of person I was, but who I am today, I hope you're okay. I want you to know I never stopped thinking about that day. And I might not be able to change what I did then, or change what I said then. But I want you to know where I am today, I really do hope you're okay. And if I caused any hurt to you, I'm sorry. It's still bothering me 10 years later because I felt like I might hurt you. Even at the time, if you wanted to hurt them, and so you did, 10 years later, it might still be bothering you that you hurt them. So it's time to make right on it. It's also time to dig out any old projects or old things that fell to the wayside that you want to pick up again and work on. Maybe now's the right time to get them out of the box. Maybe you're a musician and you stopped working on an album halfway through. Maybe you're an artist and you stopped a painting and never finished it. Maybe you started writing a book and never finished it. Maybe you had this idea that you were going to open up a shop online and never finished it, never got it started. Now's a great time for those things too. To love yourself enough to go get the dream. To love yourself enough to literally align your soul. Because alignment is everything. Your energy is everything. If you've got stuff weighing heavy on your heart and mind, no matter how long ago it was, it's weighing on you. And it's keeping your alignment from being as high as it could, should, would be. On the 30th, the Sun conjuncts North Node, opposing the South Node, as it's sesquared by Pluto, who is still challenging the nodes, and quincunx Venus, who picks up a semi-square to Uranus, still semi-sextiling Chiron, and Mars holds trine to Neptune. The Sun in conjunction with North Node is understanding that who you are right now is exactly who you're meant to be. You're not the person you used to be. You're not the same person 10 years ago. You're the person you are now for a reason. The sesquare to Pluto, who's still challenging the nodes and quincunxing Venus, right? Who's picking up that semi-square to Uranus. You got to understand The old way of doing things would be like, it doesn't matter. It's so long ago, it doesn't matter. When it does. When it does. It's uncomfortable to be in that comfort zone that says, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. It's so long ago, it doesn't matter. But it hurts to keep the weight. It's uncomfortable to reach out to that person you haven't talked to in a decade. I'm just saying a decade. It could be any amount of time. It could be a year. It could be 10 weeks. It could be 10 days. But there's a reason why you're in this mentality right now. There's a reason why you're in this vibration right now and being nudged right now. There's a reason why you're getting this message, because if these feelings come up. Or let's just say someone from a decade ago reaches out to you. Are you going to hold the grudge? Are you not going to accept the acknowledgement or the apology? Are you going to continue to finger point and blame and dredge up the past and keep that weight on your soul instead of letting it go? You're where you're at now for a reason. This harsh energy of doing things the way we've always done and it hurting has to stop. Pluto's quincunx to Venus. We got to find gratitude that we're not who we were anymore. We are not who we were anymore, and others are not who they were anymore. It might be difficult to see just how much people have changed. Especially if they look the same, act the same interests, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't mean their mentality hasn't changed. It doesn't mean that their soul hasn't wanted better. Because while you were going through everything you were going through this month with all the shifts and all the energies and dealing with yourself in the cave or out the cave, so were they. The people you haven't connected to for 10 years. They were going through all this energy too. At the end of the day, there's going to be quite a few people that come out to be the bigger person, to be the better person. Not than you, than their old selves. Be the bigger person than the old you. Be the better person than the old you. On May 31st, the last day of the month, the Sun conjunction to North Node continues with its opposition to South Node as they're challenged by Pluto. Pluto loses its quincunx to Venus. Venus holds its semi-square to Uranus and picks up a sesquare to Saturn retrograde. Venus understands. Maybe not everything has changed. Maybe how that person behaves or reacts or responds hasn't really changed. Maybe they're still the same person. Maybe that's why you're not necessarily guided to open up a new door and welcome them back wholeheartedly in your life. This is not supposed to be some huge undoing of the reality where we lose sight of the higher perspective. That person is still your past. It's just a part of your past that's healed now so that you can move forward. That's all. You and that person can reconnect simply to remove the weights off your minds, hearts, and souls and continue moving forward. That's it. We're not trying to welcome karma back in, to remind us of why we cut that person off to begin with. We know why we cut them off to begin with. And the chances are they haven't really changed. They just had a moment where they realized that who they were then, maybe you didn't deserve it. Or you feel maybe they didn't deserve it. Maybe there was a misunderstanding of each other. Maybe that misunderstanding of each other is still there. Doesn't mean you can't forgive each other. Doesn't mean you can't wish each other the best. Doesn't mean you can't end on a good note and feel like there was nothing but negativity in the closure. Maybe you can end it on a good note. That's all it is. Mercury retrograding during this time. Mercury retrograde is a window to heal things in the past. But it is also temporary. That's why they say don't make plans or commitments or promises during Mercury retrograde. Because if you make it during Mercury retrograde, by the time Mercury retrograde is done, that will fall through. Oh yeah, I'm so glad you're doing well, blah, blah, blah. We'll have to meet up for coffee sometime. You will never meet up for fucking coffee. You will never catch up. They're not meant to come back into your life. Yeah, we'll have to meet up for coffee sometime. Yeah, it's a great idea, but you know what? If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's okay either way. I just want you to know that I care about you and I hope you're happy. That's all. That's all. I wasn't, I really didn't intend to, meet up and go out for coffee. I know you've got your life. I've definitely got mine. I was just thinking about you and all that we went through back then. And I really would have hated for us to just end on a bad note like that. I'm sorry. That's all. Don't make promises your soul can't keep. Because you already kind of have a gut feeling it's probably going to fall through. Just let it end on a good note. And this way no one gets upset when the coffee meeting never happens. They never did call me for coffee. Or you know what? I tried reaching out to them for coffee 3 times and they kept canceling or they were too busy. Guess they really didn't mean what they said. It's like, no, they did. But it wasn't meant to go beyond that. Mercury holds its trine to Neptune and picks up a semi-sextile to Mercury retrograde as Mercury retrograde moves back towards its square with Neptune. Thinking we're crazy, right? But it's undoing the crazy thinking. That's what it's meant to do. It's supposed to undo the crazy thinking. Crazy thinking that this person from your past would do good in your present when they're your past for a reason. Right? Undoing crazy thinking that thinks it has to hold all of the weights and pain from the past and that it's not a big deal when it is. When those things 10 years ago, oh, that's not affecting my energy today. Bullshit. Bullshit. Yeah, it fucking is. You let that shit go unhealed. It didn't heal right. You got to break it. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable and reset it. Your thinking. Break your thinking. Yes, it does matter. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable reaching out to this person. Maybe. Maybe I'll just let my heart speak. Maybe I won't do any finger pointing, blaming, explaining, nothing. Maybe I'll just simply say, hey, it's been a while. I know we ended on a rough note. Not trying to reopen old wounds. Just wanted to let you know I was thinking of you. I'm sorry that things ended the way they did. I just wanted to let you know I wish you nothing but the best kind of stuff. I hope you're happy. You don't need to answer. If you don't want, that's fine. I'm not going to be offended. I get it. I just wanted you to know that I care and I hope you're doing well. It takes the weight right off of you. This is the beautiful undoing of feeling crazy, because you know what? You must have been crazy to think that energy on yourself, on your mind, on the back burner didn't count. Doesn't matter. Sure as shit does if you're still questioning yourself for it or judging yourself for it. Not trusting yourself or wondering about yourself and the choices you make for it. Sure as shit affects your alignment. So May on the whole is about trusting yourself, trusting your soul, knowing that no matter which path you choose, you can get to where you're going. It's just a matter of what you deal with and how you deal with it. Yes, it's new, and yes, it's different, and yes, it's fucking uncomfortable and awkward and weird because it's not how you used to do things. But it's all for your highest good. So I hope this helps. I hope understanding the transition through May helps, because it's a major, major shift of a month. The numerology alone, it's a 5-month and a 5-year. Every single day in May is technically a palindrome. Huge shifts. Momentum and shifts is the vibration of the number 5. 5-month, 5-year, it's a total of 10. There's a lot of things completing and starting at the same time, because a 10 is a 1. Major things are wrapping up and major things are beginning. There's a lot of shifts going on with this energy. You're not going to be the same person you were at the end of May that you were at the beginning. And it's going to be a good thing. It's going to be a good thing. I'm always here if you need me. I'm always here if you need me. For June, for those of you who made it to the end of this video, for June, make sure that you find me, and the information's in the description, in the Ascend Warriors group on Facebook. It is formerly known as the Ascension Team. I will be in there for the month of June doing a attitude of gratitude month with the group, where all of the readings that I'm doing are going to be for essentially free. They're going to be complimentary readings. Donations, of course, are always welcome, but the intention is to just simply be present for you, because I'm grateful to have you in my experience as a part of the Ascend Warriors group, that you would be with me, with Tanya, with the rest of the team, and invest that time in yourself to shift your perspective, to ascend in your vibration, right? So if you want to see me for June, you want to catch me doing readings in June for individuals and things like that, they're going to be in the Ascend Warriors group on Facebook. So if you're not a part of that group, join. There are questions that you need to answer in order to get in the group. If you don't answer the questions, we tend to decline the request to join. So make sure you answer the questions when you join, and you will find me and Tanya and the rest of the team in there doing whatever we can to help you with the time and energy that you invest in yourself with us to be there, right? Until next time, guys, this is Racey signing out. I love you always. Remember to always love each other, and most importantly, love yourself. Bye, everybody.